In this video, we'll continue our journey into cryptography. We'll focus on symmetric encryption algorithms. So what we'll do today, we'll explore these major encryption standards, DES, 3DES, and the Advanced Encryption Standard, AES. Symmetric cryptography is widely used for securing data because it's fast and efficient. However, not all symmetric encryption methods offer the same level of security. Some, like DES, have become outdated, while others, like AES, continue to be the gold standard for encryption today. By the end of this video, you'll understand how this encryption algorithm works, their strengths and weaknesses. Let's start with the data encryption standard DES. DES was one of the first widely adopted encryption algorithms, developed by IBM in early 1970s. It was later standardized by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, in 1977, becoming the official encryption standard for securing government and commercial data. At the time of its adoption, DES was considered secure and efficient. It was widely used in banking, secure communications, and digital transactions. However, as computing power advanced, brute force attacks on DES became possible. In 1999, DES was cracked in less than 22 hours, proving that its 56-bit key length was no longer secure against modern attacks. Because of this vulnerability, DES was officially deprecated and replaced by triple DES and later by the Advanced Encryption Standard, AES, which remains the modern encryption standard today. Although DES is no longer considered secure, it remains a foundational encryption algorithm, and its principles continue to influence modern cryptography. Now that we understand the significance of DES, let's take a closer look at how it works. DES is a symmetric key block cipher, meaning it uses the same key for both encryption and decryption. At its core, DES is an implementation of Feistel cipher, a structure used in many encryption algorithms. It breaks data into two halves and applies a series of transformations using combination of substitution and permutation operations. DES operates on a 64-bit blocks of data, meaning that each encryption step processes 64 bits at a time. The encryption key itself is 56 bits long, though it's originally 64 bits, with 8 bits used for parity checks and then discarded. The encryption process consists of 16 rounds, where the same operation is repeated multiple times. Each round applies a different subkey, which is derived from the original 56-bit key through a key scheduling process. This repetitive transformation process strengthens the encryption, making it resistant to certain types of cryptanalysis. However, DES's limited key size makes it vulnerable to brute force attacks and modern computing power. Now let's walk through an example of DES encryption step by step, using a simple 8-bit plain text to illustrate the process. This will help us understand how data transforms through DES. We start first with the plain text value of 00101001. Each bit position is indexed as shown on the screen. The first bit is at position 1, the second bit is at position 2, and the last bit is at position 8. In DES, the first step is the initial permutation, where the bits are rearranged according to a predefined IP table. Here's the IP table that defines how the bits are shuffled. The output after the rearrangement or after the shuffle using the IP is as shown on the screen 00100110. Next, DES will split the 64-bit block into two equal halves. In our simplified 8-bit example, we divide it into two 4-bit halves. So we have L1, left half 0010, and we have the right half R1 0110. Now what happens? The right half R1 is processed using the Feistel function, the F function. This is where DES applies complex transformations, including expansion, XOR with the subkey, substitution, and permutation. We'll now dive deeper into the Feistel function to see how encryption actually takes place. Now let's continue our DES encryption example by diving into the Feistel function, where the right half R1 undergoes transformation before being combined with the left half. The right half R1 which is 4 bits long in our simplified example, is expanded using an expansion permutation EP table. This step increases the bit length, allowing it to mix better with the key. Using the EP table, we rearrange and duplicate certain bits to produce a 6-bit output. The new output after the EP is 011110. Next, we take the expanded 6-bit output and perform a bitwise XOR operation with the 6-bit round key. The round key is derived from the original 56-bit DES key, ensuring a unique transformation in each round. After applying the XOR operation, the new transformed output is 110111. This step introduces confusion. This one will make it difficult for attackers to reverse the encryption process without having the correct key. Next, this XOR output will pass through the S-box substitution step, which further scrambles the data by replacing bits with predefined values. Let's move to the next step. Now that we have performed the XOR operation with the round key, the next step in the Feastel function is the S-box substitution. This step is crucial for adding nonlinearity for the encryption, making DES resistant to attacks. The S-box or substitution box replaces the 6-bit XOR output with a 4-bit output. The compression helps create a more complex ciphertext, increasing security. To determine the new value, we use an S-box lookup table. The first and last bits, bit 1 and bit 6, define the row number in the S-box. The middle 4 bits, bit 2 to bit 5, define the column number in the S-box. Using the S-box table, we locate the value at row 3, column 11, which gives us the decimal value 14. The decimal value 14 is then converted into binary, giving us our new 4-bit output. Let's have a look how this works. Now we have the XOR output from the previous step. So what we need to do, we need to look at the S-box and replace the 6-bit XOR result with the 4-bit output. So we'll look first at bits 1 and bit 6. This determines the row number. So as you see on the screen, so bits 1 and bit 6, 1, 1. So this is corresponding to the last row in the S-box. And then we'll look at bits 2 to 5, which determine the column number, and that's the column 1011. And then the new output will be where the row and the column intersect, which is 14. 14 is decimal, so we need to get the new output, which is the binary for this decimal, which in this case is 1110. Now the question is, why the S-box substitution is an important step in the DES encryption. The S-box substitution is important because it adds confusion. This will make it difficult for attackers to reverse engineer the encryption process. Think about it. DES has 8 different S-boxes, and each introduces unique transformations, so that's why this step is significantly strengthening the security. Now that we have the substituted value, we move to the next step, permutation box, which further scrambles the bits for added security. Now that we have completed the S-box substitution, the next step in the Feastel function is the P-box permutation, followed by the XOR operation with the left half. The permutation box is used to rearrange the output bits from the S-box substitution. This will ensure that the encryption spreads the influence of each input bit more evenly across the ciphertext, adding diffusion to the encryption process. Using the P-box table, the bits are reordered according to the predefined positions. In this case, the S-box output 1110 is transformed into 1011. Now the permuted output 1011 from the Feastel function is XORed with the left half L1 of the data block. We are now at the final step of one round of DES encryption. The Feastel function output is XORed with the left half, and then the left and the right halves are swapped to prepare for the next round. The P-box output is XORed with the previous left, L1. This step further scrambles the data, ensuring that the transformation depends on both the plain text and the key. Now that we have completed one full round of DES encryption, this process repeats for 16 rounds, applying different subkeys in each step to strengthen security. Each round of DES introduces a new transformations with a unique round key applied at every step. The repeated application of substitutions, permutations, and XOR operations ensures that even small changes in the input result in a completely different ciphertext. With 15 more rounds to go, DES continues this process until we reach the final ciphertext output. We've now completed all 16 rounds of DES encryption. The final step is the inverse initial permutation, which rearranges the bits one last time to produce the final ciphertext. After the last round, the left and right halves are combined, giving us an intermediate result of 011010001 in our simplified example that we started earlier in this video. Just as we applied an initial permutation at the beginning, we now apply the inverse initial permutation to rearrange the bits into their final positions according to the predefined IP table or inverse initial permutation table. After applying this, we get the final ciphertext, which is 00110110. To summarize, DES encryption follows these key steps. Initial permutation rearranges plain text bits. Splitting into left and right halves prepares data for Feastel processing. 16 rounds of Feastel function applies expansion, XOR, S-box permutation, and swapping. Final combination and inverse initial permutation produces the final ciphertext. Now our plain text message is fully encrypted into ciphertext. To decrypt, we simply reverse the process, using the same key in reverse order through the 16 rounds of DES. This completes our step-by-step breakdown of DES encryption. Next, we'll compare DES with the 3DES and modern encryption algorithms like AES, Advanced Encryption Standard, highlighting the security improvements over DES. As the security weaknesses of DES became more apparent, cryptographers needed a way to extend its security without designing completely new algorithm. This led to the development of triple DES or 3DES. Rather than using single 56 key, 3DES improves security by applying the DES encryption process 3 times using 3 different 56-bit keys. Here's how 3DES encryption works. Step 1. The plain text is encrypted using key 1, K1. In step 2, the output is then decrypted using key 2. And the final step, the result is encrypted again using third key, K3. This extra layering of encryption significantly strengthens security, making it much harder for brute force attacks to break compared to single DES. To decrypt the 3DES encrypted ciphertext, the process is reversed. Decrypt with K3, encrypt with K2, and decrypt with K1 to retrieve the original plaintext. This reverse process ensures that only someone with the correct 3 keys, K1, K2, and K3, can successfully decrypt the message back into its original form. 3DES was widely used in banking, payment systems, and secure communications because it provided a quick security upgrade without completely replacing DES. However, despite its improvement, 3DES is still relatively slow and has since been phased out in favor of AES. Next, we'll explore the successor to 3DES, Advanced Encryption Standard, which provides even stronger security with faster performance. As computing power advanced, it became clear that DES and 3DES were no longer secure enough for modern encryption needs. A new, stronger, and more efficient encryption standard was required, leading to the creation of Advanced Encryption Standard. In 1997, the National Institute of Standards and Technology (NIST) launched a public competition to find a replacement for DES. Over 15 encryption algorithms were submitted by cryptographers worldwide. After 3 years of evaluation, the winning algorithm was Regendile, designed by cryptographers Vincent Ridgman and Juan Damon. In 2001, Advanced Encryption Standard was officially adopted as the United States government encryption standard. Key features of Advanced Encryption Standard. AES is a symmetric block cipher that encrypts data in 128-bit blocks with key sizes of 128, 192, or 256 bits, making it highly secure against brute force attacks. Compared to triple DES, AES is 6 times faster, more efficient, and designed for both hardware and software implementation. It's now the global standard for encryption in banking, VPNs, secure communications, and even military-grade security. AES is not just an upgrade. It reformed modern encryption by providing a secure, scalable, and highly efficient encryption method. This makes it the preferred choice for protecting sensitive data worldwide. Next, we'll explore the structure of AES, how it works, and why it's considered unbreakable with today's technology. AES encryption follows a structured, multi-round process designed to ensure high security and efficiency. Let's break down the steps. Initial round. This is step 1. The encryption begins with an add round key step, where the plain text is combined with the initial cipher key through an XOR operation. This ensures that encryption starts with key-dependent randomness. Step 2. We have 9 main rounds. AES undergoes 9 main rounds for AES 128, where 4 transformation steps are applied in each round. Sub-bytes, where each byte is replaced using a substitution table, SBox, adding nonlinearity. The second round, shift rows. Rows in the state matrix are shifted left, disrupting patterns and enhancing diffusion. Next, mixed columns. Columns undergo a matrix transformation, spreading changes across the block. And last, we have the add round key. A unique round key is applied through XOR to add key dependency. Step 3, which is the final round. After the 9 rounds, Advanced Encryption Standard performs this final round, which follows the same structure but excludes mixed columns for performance and security reasons. At the end of this process, the transformed data becomes the final ciphertext, ready for secure transmission or storage. Advanced Encryption Standard is incredibly secure because each round strengthens the encryption by introducing substitution, permutation, and key mixing. Even a tiny change in the plain text leads to a completely different ciphertext. Now that we have explored the AES encryption process, let's discuss how the key size affects the number of encryption rounds. AES supports 3 different key sizes, each offering a high level of security and requiring a different number of encryption rounds. AES 128 uses a 128-bit key and performs 10 rounds of encryption. AES 192 uses a 192-bit key and performs 12 rounds of encryption. AES 256 uses a 256-bit key and performs 14 rounds of encryption. The larger the key, the more secure the encryption, but it also increases computational complexity. AES 256 is considered the most secure and is widely used for military-grade encryption, financial transactions, and secure cloud storage. This flexibility allows AES to be used in a variety of applications, balancing speed and security depending on the sensitivity of the data. Now that we understand how AES keys and rounds work, we are ready to explore how Advanced Encryption Standard works in detail. The AES encryption process begins with an initial round, where the first transformation is applied. This is called add round key. At this stage, the plain text is stored in a 4x4 matrix called the state matrix, and the cipher key is applied using an XOR operation. This step integrates the encryption key into the data to add security. In add round key, each byte of the state matrix is XORed with the corresponding byte from the round key. Let's go through the 4 examples shown on the slide. We have 2b XORed with a, 0 resulting with 8b as a hexadecimal. You see 4 examples on the screen for the XOR operation, so spend some time practicing these operations with the binaries of every hexadecimal value. And then after that, if you look, what we'll have the resulting matrix. By applying the XOR, the new byte value 8b replaces the original 2b. This step ensures that the key directly influences every byte of the data, making decryption impossible without the correct key. After performing XOR on all 16 bytes, we get a new transformed state matrix, which is then passed to the first main round of Advanced Encryption Standard. The add round key step is the only step in AES that directly involves the encryption key. Without the correct key, decryption is impossible, ensuring strong security. Now that we have completed the initial round, the next step in AES is the first of 9 main rounds, starting with subbytes, which introduces nonlinearity into the encryption process. After the add round key step, the next step in the advanced encryption standard process is subbytes. This transformation introduces nonlinearity into AES encryption. This will make it resistant to cryptanalysis and increasing security. Subbytes works by replacing each byte in the state matrix with the corresponding value from the S-box. This lookup table is carefully designed to provide strong diffusion and confusion, ensuring that even a small change in input results in drastically different output. Let's go through some examples from our state matrix to see how this works. Example 1, byte 8b. 8b is found in row 8, column B of the S-box. Looking up the corresponding value in the S-box, we get 3d. So 8b is substituted by 3d in the new state matrix. Example 2, byte b1. Byte b1 is found in row B, column 1 of the S-box. The lookup result is C8. So b1 is substituted by C8 in the new state matrix. By applying this transformation to all 16 bytes in the state matrix, we create a completely new state, which moves us one step closer to a fully encrypted ciphertext. Next, we apply the shift rows transformation, which shuffles the rows of the matrix to further spread out the influence of each byte across the block. After the subbytes transformation, the next step in AES encryption is shift rows. This step increases diffusion, ensuring that small changes in plain text result in completely different ciphertext. The shift rows transformation works by shifting bytes within each row of the state matrix by a specific number of positions to the left. The shifts occur as follows. Row 1, first row, no shifts. It remains unchanged. For row 2, the second row, we'll do a 1 byte circular shift to the left. For row 3, the third row, 2 byte circular shift to the left. For the fourth row, row 4, 3 byte circular shift to the left. Let's go through an example using the initial state matrix. And now we'll notice how the rows are shifted, but columns remain unchanged. This to ensure that each column now contains a mix of bytes from different parts of the original state. This is very crucial for diffusion, making AES encryption much stronger. So now what I need here, I need to bring the laser pointer and then show how this works. So now if you look at row number 2, for 5F, I want to shift it by 1 byte. So it's what? It's circular shift to the left. Since it's the first in the row, so a circular shift, this will become the last in row number 2. And that's how you see 5F being shifted. Now if I look at 2D, I want to shift 1 byte, so 2D will move here. So if you look at the new matrix, that will be first in row number 2. And then I'll look at 20, this will be 1 byte shifted, so it needs to go here. So that's why it should shift to that position. And then we look at 0A, we do 1 byte shift, so it should be third in row number 2. And here how we shifted by 1 byte row number 2. So now if we go to row number 3, we need to do 2 byte circular shift to left. So if I want to start with E9 and I want to shift E9, so I'll do circular shift since it's in the first column, so it will go around. So this is 1, 2, so it needs to be in this column number 3. So that's why E9 will go in this box. And then the same for BB, we'll do 2 byte shift. So this will come 1 byte here, and then with circular shift it goes last. So it will be in this column number 4. And then we'll look at 7-1. What we'll do is 7-1, 2 byte shift. So 1, 2, so it will be in the first column. And then we have the 12 or 1, 2. We'll do 2 byte shift, 1, 2, so it will be in the second column. And then we move to the last row, row 4. We have 3 byte circular shift to left. Starting with 7C, we do circular shift, so that's 1, 2, 3. That's why 7C goes there in column number 2. And likewise for the remaining values, so F0 will follow. Then we have C8, and then you see 1, 2 moves first because we're doing 3 byte shift. So if I look at 1, 2, That's 1 byte shift, 2 byte shift, and 3 byte shift. So it will be in the first column in row 4. Notice how now the rows are shifted, but columns remain unchanged, ensuring that each column now contains a mix of bytes from different parts of the original state. This is very important for diffusion, making the AES encryption much stronger. With shift rows complete, the next step in AES encryption is mixed columns, which further spreads the influence of each byte across the entire block, strengthening security against attacks. In this step, we introduce the mixed columns transformation, a key part of the AES encryption process. This step increases diffusion, ensuring that a single byte change affects multiple bytes in the output. This is what makes AES more secure. Mixed columns works by multiplying each column of the state matrix with a fixed transformation matrix. So this transformation matrix you see on the right is a fixed matrix consisting of only 3 values, as you see, 0, 1, 0, 2, and 0, 3. This multiplication is done in Galois field using polynomial arithmetics. So this way, using polynomial arithmetics, we need to do some multiplication between the values in these two matrices. If you look at the right, this is the Galois field where we see x to the power, and here maybe I need to get my laser pointer to be able to show this better. So you look at the Galois field, since we have 8 bits, so we have x to the power of 7, x to the power of 6, x to the power of 5, x to the power of 4, 3, 2, x to the power of 1, and x to the power of 0. I will make a simplified version of this because we know anything raised to the power of 0, the result is 1, and x raised to the power of 1, the result is x. So this is the simplified version I will use. The matrix I use for mixed columns, this matrix has only 3 values, as we said earlier, 0, 1, 0, 2, and 0, 3. So the first step is what? To calculate the equivalent value using the GF for the 0, 1, 0, 2, and 0, 3. So for 0, 1 first, I will put the binaries for 0, 1, 0, 2, and 0, 3. So for 0, 1, if you look at the binaries, it's basically the starting bit on the right is 1, and all the remaining bits are 0. So the result will be 1. And then if I look for 0, 2, if I put the binaries for 0, 2 below the GF, I'll look that the second bit on the right is 1, so this is equivalent to x, so the answer, or 0, 2, will be equal to x. And 0, 3, if you look at the bits on the right, I have the first bit is 1 and the second bit is 1, so this is x plus 1. Because 1, I have 1 here and I have 1 there, so x plus 1. Since all the other bits are 0, then I don't need all these values. So now we have 0, 1 equals 1, 0, 2 equals x, and 0, 3 equals x plus 1. So what we'll do next, this is the calculation we have at the bottom left. So we have 3d times 0, 2. So what that means, we are taking the first column in the matrix. This is the last output we got from the previous step. So we take the first column, we multiply by the first row, and this will give us the first value in the first row and the first column. And then if I want to do the next value, then I have to take the first column multiplied by the second row, and this gives me the second value. But let's do this first as an example so we can learn the process. So this will be 3d times 0, 2, so 3d times 0, 2, and this will be XORed by 2d times 0, 3. 2d times 0, 3, and then XORed by 7, 1 times 0, 1, and then XORed by 1, 2 times 0, 1. So the first column times the first row. Let's do the first part, 3d times 0, 2. How we do this? This is how we do it. So first we need to get 3d using the GF, and if you put the bits below the Galois field, the x to the power, then the result will be x to the power of 5, 4, 3, 2, plus 1. And then we do the same for 0, 2. For 0, 2, I have it already, I know it's x, and then we simply multiply those polynomials. So if we do the multiplication, 3d times 2d, that means x is multiplied to the GF result of 3d, x5, x4, x3, x2, plus 1, and then the result will be 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. So after we do the multiplication, x times x5, we just add the powers, so x6, x5, x4, x3, x, and then simply we reverse the process to get the binary. So I start with x6, so x7 is 0, I don't have x7, x6 is 1, x5 is 1, x4 is 1, x3 is 1, I don't have x2, that's why I have 0, and then I have x, that's why I have 1 here, I don't have a plus 1 at the end, so I have 0. So this will be the value of this multiplication. So that's where I get this first component. Now I still have 3 to go, and then all the binaries, I will XOR them to get the final output, which will be this value. So now we need to do 2D times 0, 3. So 2D, we find the binary, and then we get the GF. So we get x5, x3, x2 plus 1, and then we know already 0, 3 is equivalent to x plus 1. We multiply those polynomials, and then we get the result, and then we get the binary equivalent to this polynomial. So the binary will be 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And now we got the second. Now we need to continue to do the third part and so forth. Now we continue. So now the third item, 7, 1 times 0, 1. Since we are multiplying by 0, 1, then it will be the same result. So 7, 1 will remain 7, 1. So 7, 1, we get the binary, and then multiplied by 0, 1, which is 1 in this case. We don't really need to do the multiplication, so the result will be the same. And likewise for the last component, 1, 2 times 0, 1, so it will remain 1, 2. So now we got all the binaries after we did this polynomial using the Galois field, the GF. So the resulting output will be, as you see on the screen, we got the 4 binaries. So now what we need to do, we need just to XOR them to get the final output. So we got the final output after XORing them. Remember to do the XOR with multiple items. Simply what you need to do to look at how many ones we have, and once you see the total number of ones is odd, then this should give you 1. If the total number of ones is not odd or it's even, then that's a 0. Then we get the result of the XOR, and this will be 6e. And then we repeat the same process until we get the new matrix post the mixed columns phase. We have now computed only the first value in the matrix 6e. Now we'll show the remaining calculations without getting into the details. Recall that to transform a column, we multiply it by the mixed columns transformation matrix, row by row. This results in a new column where each value is derived from a combination of the original values, ensuring strong diffusion effect. We begin with the first column. Let's look at the first column. So what we'll do in the first column, we'll multiply the first column by each row. So now if you look, let me bring the laser pointer, it's here. So this is column 1. So what I'll do, I'll take column 1, multiply it by row 1, and here goes the result, and then multiply column 1 by row 2, and here goes the result, and then column 1 multiplied by row 3, and this will be column 1 row 3 result, and column 1 multiplied by row 4, and here goes the result. So now if you look at this calculation on the right, column 1 by row 1, 6a, here we got 6a, and then we got E6, C4, 3F. This will be the new first column. Then column 2, so we are calculating column 2 in the new matrix. What we do simply, we take column 2, we multiply it by each row in the matrix, and this will give us the second column in the new matrix. Here on the right, where we show these calculations, so we got D5, EA, 60, F1. So all these values will be the second column in the new matrix, column 2. So we're doing column 2 multiplied by each row, so the result will be column 2 in the new matrix. Column 3, the same like we did with columns 1 and 2, multiply it by row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. And here if you look at the results, we got 9, 4, 0, 0, 0C, 4F. This will be column 3 in the new matrix. And last we have column 4, following the same mixed columns steps, multiplying the polynomials, and then in the end we XOR all the resulting binaries. We multiply it by row 1, 2, 3, and 4, and here where we see the results DE865705. This is column 4 in the new matrix after the mixed columns. With mixed columns, Advanced Encryption Standard achieves better diffusion, making it resilient against cryptanalysis. This transformation, combined with the shift rows and some byte steps, ensures that each byte of the ciphertext is dependent on multiple bytes of the plain text. Now that we have completed the mixed columns transformation, we move on to the next step in AES main round encryption, the add round key operation. In this step, we take our transformed state matrix and perform a bitwise XOR with the corresponding round key. Each byte in the state matrix is XORed with the corresponding byte in the sub-key matrix. On the right side of the screen, there are a few examples, as you can see. And once we have this operation complete, finding the binaries for every hexadecimal, and then we bitwise XOR them, we get the new substitute hexadecimal values in the newly formed matrix after this step. Once the XOR operation is performed across the entire state matrix, we get our new transformed matrix. This completes one full AES round, and this process repeats for several rounds depending on the AES key size. With add round key applied, we are now ready to proceed to the next round of AES encryption, which is the final round. Now we have reached the final round of the Advanced Encryption Standard process. At this stage, we perform three key operations: subbytes, shift rows, and add round key. First, we apply the subbytes transformation. Each byte in the state matrix is substituted using the S box, replacing it with the corresponding value from the table. This introduces nonlinearity, making it difficult for attackers to reverse engineer the encryption. Next, we perform shift rows. This is a simple row-wise transformation. The first row remains unchanged. The second row undergoes a 1-byte circular shift to the left. The third row undergoes a 2-byte circular shift to the left. And the fourth row undergoes 3-byte circular shift to the left. This step ensures that the columns are mixed across different rows, adding diffusion to the encryption. Unlike the previous rounds, the mixed column step is skipped in the final round. Instead, we move directly to the add round key step. The add round key operation is applied where the transformed state matrix is XORed with round key 10, the final round key. At this point, we have successfully completed the AES encryption process, and the final ciphertext is obtained. This encrypted output can now be transmitted securely, ensuring confidentiality and protection against unauthorized access. We've now reached the end of our deep dive into symmetric cryptography. Throughout this video, we have explored the data encryption standard DES, triple DES, and the advanced encryption standard, the three major symmetric encryption algorithms. We started with DES, understanding its feature structure, 16 rounds of encryption, and its 64-bit block size with a 56-bit key. Then we moved on to triple DES, 3DES, which was introduced to strengthen DES by applying the algorithm 3 times with different keys. Next, we covered Advanced Encryption Standard, a more advanced and widely adopted encryption standard. We walked through its key transformations, subbytes, shift rows, mixed columns, and add round key, seeing how these steps contribute to strong and efficient encryption. We also performed detailed calculations to demonstrate how Galois field arithmetic is used in Advanced Encryption Standard for secure transformations. To summarize, DES provided a strong but now outdated encryption method. 3DES improved upon DES but was still slow and vulnerable. Advanced Encryption Standard is the modern standard, offering speed, security, and efficiency. Symmetric cryptography remains a crucial part of securing data, especially in environments where speed is critical. However, the challenge remains in secure key exchange, which is why asymmetric cryptography is often used alongside symmetric encryption. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dive into cybersecurity concepts. Drop your questions in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.